This is video 10 of the 4th Street Software Baseball 1927 AL project discussing ballparks. First up, we will take a look here at Yankee Stadium and how ballparks are depicted and used in the game. As you can see on the right edge here, there's numbers from 1 to 20 delineating the rows, if you will, or the depth of the ballpark beyond the bases. All around the arc we have numbers from 0 to 99, so about 100 chances there on the 2D10 system. Well, 20 times 100 is 2,000, so in essence we have 2,000 zones that a ball can be directed to in the ballpark system. This is one of the reasons why, as an earlier video indicated, most hits will occur when the ballpark system comes into play. About in excess of 80% of the time a hit will envelop when the ballpark comes up. So looking at Yankee Stadium here, we got a few features we'll go over. We got the gray zones here indicating beyond the fences where home runs are going to be hit. Take a look over here, hopefully it can be seen. There's a number 380 below this little legend. 380 represents 380 of the 2,000 combinations for a home run, so about 19% of the time. That would be on a zero weighted power hitter. Of course, if his rating is negative, it's going to drop down. If it's positive, like Ruth and Garrick, it's going to go up. Furthermore, out in the far outfield areas, we got dark green zones and blue zones, indicating where doubles generally going to be hit. That's when D20 die rolls of 11 or greater, unmodified, come up. And then the shallow outfield and the infield areas in lighter green or indoor brick dust tan indicates generally where singles are going to happen. Now, the zones, or the lanes actually labeled in red, are the most probable lanes. There's 8 chances out of those 100 for those red lanes to come into effect. Down the lines, I've labeled those in yellow. There's still only 6 chances down the line. But extra doubles can occur here in the infield or shallow outfield areas, as long as the runner's rating is 14 or more. I asked Brian to introduce that run rating limiter. He introduced it in the PC game, so it's utilized here. The X pre-marked on the shallow outfield and the infield are typically where you're going to want to place a defender. So here in rows 7 through 9 and lane M, or D100 of 80 to 87, being the most common lane, we have the outfielder, in this case the right fielder's X placed there, the big X. And likewise the condensed or aggregated rows 2, 3, and 4 in that same lane M is where we'd want the first baseman placed when nobody's on first base and he doesn't need to hold. So these large X's are where the highest chance, in this case 3 rows times 8, so 24 out of the 2,000 chances, you'd want your first baseman with no man on base placed. Same with your right fielder, 3 times 8, 24 chances. So those are the most predominant. And then of course the little X's to the left in the front and back are where that most probable defender can range to possibly turn potential hits into outs. Furthermore, out here we have these 6 pointed stars around some of those ranging potential zones and rows. That's because triples could actually occur when the outfielder misses on a dive and the fence is, I believe it's 5 or more away. So in this case, the fence is way out here at 18 row depths away. So we put a little 6-pointed star around that. As you can see, the right fielder it's not labeled with 6-pointed stars because the fence is too close at 11 and or 12 out here. You can see that this blue is a lighter shade of blue than the deeper out 17, 18 blues. That's because when the ball actually hits the wall here, even though it's doubles depth, the ball will ricochet back towards, or carom back towards the outfielder, and therefore it's a single instead of a double, and the base runner or the hitter would have to elect to try and stretch it back out to a double. You'll see some fence distances. I put that in there if you wanted to attribute a home run depth. I did this either by what is it called, a protractor and a sketch scale from Andrew Clem's and or Seam Ahead site to try and estimate what the fence depths would be. These row depths where the home run determinant is, that's somewhat based on my ballpark, death trap, and Homer Haven study, also on simulation play testing to get the ratio of home and away home runs more in line with what was occurring at these stadiums. So these numbers could end up like a Griffith Stadium if it hadn't changed from 1927 to 1960, which I believe is Brian's earliest season. They could be off somewhat different. I just took a different study path to determine where these fence distances needed to be. Let's take a look at some of the other stadiums. Here we got Fenway. As you can see, the 6-pointed star is now in line here at Fenway for the right fielder because the fence distance is way out here at 19 now. Let's take a look at the next. Okay, Sportsman Park. This is a Homer Haven Park, as you can see. Lots of neutral power hitter home run territory, 530 in this case. Many short distances for the fence, but many chances for the ball to ricochet back, turning doubles into singles. Dunfield, okay, this one's an interesting case. Dunfield had an extremely high 45-foot screen wall height, so that kind of skews some of these numbers that needed to be, because the distance was very short at 290 down the pole, 300, 308. But because of that wall height and how it interacted in my simulation and whatnot, I needed to set the fence distances at, actually in this case, 16. Although with short distances like this, I would have had it down here at 11. But the 4 or 5 rows for a 45-foot, that would have only put it at 16, which meant there would be far too many home runs being hit. So it appears that 45-foot screen was very, very anti-home run inducing, more so than the layout of the game dictates. So that's why there's these asterisks here. The fence would actually have been at 11, but it's moved 16 for how the game mechanics work. You can see out here in dead center, it's actually 25 labeled, so you'd need a 26 die roll or higher. So basically well, I guess that's actually impossible, because I believe the highest positive is 5, and a D20 roll of 20, so 25. So nothing's going to clear the fence here in lane I in Dunfield. Comiskey, the only balanced park from left to right. Here we got Navin Field in Detroit, very odd park where it's very deep down the lines and then drops into the power alleys for easier home run ability. Here's the aforementioned Griffith Stadium. Nothing stands out here. Obviously very difficult to hit home runs also. This is at rating of a 104. Shibe Park in Philadelphia, bit of a homer launching pad of a homer rating of 446 for the Cray zones. Let's see, what was our lowest? We got Griffith, 214, 120, Comiskey. Dunn, okay, yeah. Dunn Field, only a 20. Sportsman. And Fenway's pretty tough too, a 54. Anyways, that's how the ballparks were constructed, designed, depicted, utilized for 4-3 software 1927 AL project.